is National Self-Check Month. So you have a whole month to get a hold of this.
To check yourself out.
Yes, it's a great time to check in on your mental health, mental well-being. The people expert, Dr. Sabrina Jackson, here to help us get started. First of all, welcome back. You had a little slip on the ice, which I think it's a good cautionary tale for people to keep in mind. Because I almost fell down walking the dog, too. There's little patches of ice.
Little patches of ice. I fell in my driveway. I was by myself, and I fell twice. So first I fell, and then as I was trying to get up, I'm trying to get up on ice, and I fell again and hit my head.
Oh, my goodness.
In the side of my face. So
and did you get checked out?
I did go to the ER and got completely checked out, had a CAT scan. I'm still bruised up over here, but I'm okay.
Be careful. Seriously, be careful out there, even as it's melting now, because it does. Especially we wear these shoes that maybe aren't great in the ice.
Great.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the self-check month. What does that mean exactly, self-check?
It's to do some self-checking on yourself on all areas. So maybe check your finances and your budget. Check your mental health. Check your physical health. Check your numbers and how you're doing with your blood pressure and all of that. And so do a self-check. That is this month, to just take the time. For women, go and have your mammograms done.
Or at least make the appointment, right?
At least make the appointment. So be focused on you. And so when it comes to our mental health, when we check on ourselves, it helps to keep us strong. So STRONG is my acronym for today.
Okay.
The first is seek feedback. Because how do you get better if can't nobody tell you nothing? So it's important to seek feedback from those around you, from your doctors, from the people that are in your life, because sometimes people can see things that's off with you that you don't see.
Okay. So you're supposed to say, hey, do I seem like I'm okay to you?
Yes.
What if you don't like the answer?
Oh, that is such a big thing, because when we get feedback we don't like, we shut down, we attack.
We're defensive, right?
We become defensive.
Yeah.
But again, how do we get better if people can't tell us anything? So even if the person who's giving the feedback doesn't know how to give it, it still could be valid.
Okay.
So that's really important. And so the T is to take some time and take note of your energy level. And so a lot of times our energy begins to wane when stuff is on our mind, when we're frustrated, when we're irritated. And then the R is to reflect on our stress levels. Think about the things that stress you out. Have you put a plan together on managing your stress? So what things do you do? Some people work out, some people pray, some people listen to music, do the deep breathing. But what do you need to do for you? And so a lot of times life is lifing, as they say.
Yep.
Things are happening all the time. And then we need to observe, I forgot my there we go, thank you. Observe changes in your behaviors. Think about how you're talking to people. Are you quick to snap at people? If you're in the car and someone cuts you off, are you ready to ride up on them? Check your behavior, because when you're not yourself, those things can happen. Notice your feelings in relationships. So when that phone rings and you see that person's name, does it make you go, or are you going, oh, hey, how you doing? How you doing? And then gauge your thoughts, because what we think is what we speak, and what we speak is what we create. So I always ask people, if you look at your life today, do you like it?
Okay, that's a good starting point, isn't it?
If you don't like it, are you willing to do something different to make it different? Because in order to have something you've never had, you have to be open to do something that you've never done.
Right.
Because all the stuff you're doing is what got you here.
Right.
So you want to be able to check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Don't be afraid of change.
Yes. Change is happening.
Good stuff. You gave us a lot to think about, Dr. Sabrina.
Think about yourself today.
All right. And be careful out there.
Thank you.
Please.
I am.
We need you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Get your pens and your notepads out. Conflict is a natural part of life, but it can also take a toll on our mental health. The people expert, Dr. Sabrina Jackson, here to give us some practical tips for how we can handle conflict effectively, and not just in the workplace, but at home also.
Everywhere. Conflict happens all the time. And so first I want to talk about what the impact is on us. And so first, it can cause us to be anxious or stressed when we feel the conflict, especially when it's somebody that we love or that we're close to or that we work with every day, and we see the conflict coming. It can definitely make us anxious or stressful. And then it can also produce anger. And that anger can lead to aggression. And I will say this, a lot of times it used to be just men would become aggressive, but women,
they're out here now,
They out here.
All right.
They fighting. And it can impair our judgment and cause unhealthy coping, because you may want to clap back if someone says something you don't like.
Always have the last word.
Always have the last word. Want to be right, just to be right, and you may not be right in that situation. So in order for us to get to a place where we handle conflict effectively, the first thing we have to do is to get calm. And be respectful. Even if I don't agree with you, I don't have to cuss at you. I don't have to get up in your face, things of that nature. And then listen actively. And listen actively is a skill. And so listening, not just to prick your rebuttal, because oftentimes when that rebuttal pricks, we stop listening and we're preparing our rebuttal. Listen actively means to listen completely for clarity and understanding, so then you can repeat back to the person what you heard them say.
And I want to stop you right there. Is that, we're not trying to be condescending, but can you ask the other person, now repeat back to me what you heard me say?
Yes.
Or does that just stop the argument, you know, right in its tracks? Are you supposed to do that?
You can absolutely do that, because you want to make sure, I just want to make sure, help me. That's what I would say, help me to make sure that I have communicated exactly what I'm saying and that you heard what I'm saying. And then as a part of that communication, I messages. I feel this way. Not you, but I. Help me to navigate this relationship more appropriately. And so when you do that, it can become extremely effective, because the person doesn't feel attacked, and they feel and they lean in when you say, can you help me? And then you can identify common goals. And identifying common goals in a conflict seems impossible, but it may not be.
I have another question for you. How do you teach people to have conflict? Maybe one person has been to therapy. Sometimes there's nothing worse than a person who's been to therapy, because
they think they know everything.
They think they know everything, and they start pointing out. So when you hear people say things like, you make me feel this, the therapy person's like, well, no, your feelings are your response. I didn't make you feel. And then you're adding new fights to the fight.
It absolutely is. And so one of the things that I say all the time is that you have to learn empathy. Empathy is the greatest skill necessary in a conflict. And empathy is simply stepping back and looking at it from the other person's point of view. That way, it's not, I'm just trying to win. It's how I can shift my thinking so that we both win. And so a lot of times in a conflict, I want to be the winner. Me, I, win me. No, what can we do? Because if we're still going to be working together, if we're still going to be living together and loving each other, if we're still family, how do we do this where it's impactful for both of us? So that's knowing when to compromise as well.
We're close to out of time, so this might, we might need a part 2 for this one, because I wonder sometimes some of these fake resolutions where, well, I just won't really talk to you at work then. You know,
and
like
that's,
we're cool, we get along, but it's like, well, actually, you're not getting along.
You're not getting along.
To talk.
Absolutely. And so we have to get to the point that we get to a resolve. And so the resolve can be, let's really sit down and talk about what the initial underlying issue was, because sometimes we think it's about, you know, something they said or something they did, but it's a trigger for us that we have to heal from when someone says something. So I always check myself, I have to say. And then I have friends that I'll call and say, okay, now let me run this by you. Let me tell you how this
You need some friends who'll tell you the truth.
Tell you the truth.
Am I wrong? Yes, girl, you are wrong. Okay, okay.
All out of control.
All out of control. Where can we find you, Dr. Sabrina?
You can find me on my website, sabrinajackson.com, or on Instagram, The People Expert. And just know I'm available for speaking. Speaking. That's what I do. Speaking.
So good to see you always. Quick break. We'll be right back.